impact of mindset on therapy. And I actually wanted to ask you how that question came about. You said a client asked you about that. Was a specific situation?
Yeah, we were just on the phone, and I hadn't seen her in 4 weeks, and she was like, wow, during that time, like I really came to the realization like how much this process has brought me to like really become aware of my mental blocks, and also like how much the impact of like saying to myself like I can't do something actually can transpire into like not like the fear of not doing it. Mm-hmm. So it was more or less just like sharing conversation on that, but also like we see that a lot with like fear-based, I guess, expectations, and like I think it does play a huge role in like the success of a client. Mm-hmm. Do you guys like have that come up at all?
Yeah, and I've seen it in different ways. And I know you were talking specific to the mindset of maybe their condition or their limitations or their pain. But something super interesting that I've learned working with Egoscue is the mindset just in their life, other things that are going on in their life, and how that translates to how their body feels, and then of course how that translates to the therapy process. And I think you shared with us, Chrissy, like a map of the body. Was it called an emotional pain map or something like that?
Yeah, the emotional pain chart. And
and that's always just like really struck me, and I totally believe there's a huge influence on other stress factors in your life, whether it's relationships at home with your family, money, financial stress, if you're responsible for taking care of someone else, like all of these factors can definitely manifest in the body. And then you have this pain holding on, that while we do everything that we can as your therapist to take care of the physical part of this, we still need the client to meet us halfway and first acknowledge if there is something else going on, and then do everything that they can on the emotional side of it. And like how do you handle stress at home? Do you have an outlet? And sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes we become the outlet, and sometimes I have appointments that are 30 minutes of checking in, seeing how they're doing at home, and then we get into the actual exercises. And those 30 minutes of just talking or just listening to them are just as valuable as the physical part. So I, on my end as a therapist, I really appreciate that Egoscue as a company values both sides of it and is supportive on both sides of it. What about you, Matt?
100%. Yeah. That 30 minutes, like you talked about, I talk with all my clients at the start of the session, just checking in, how you doing? What's been going on? What's new? Like just checking in with a friend, just talking, and especially with going on, everything going on today, and we're isolated now, I'd say probably more than ever in a lot of our lives. It's nice to have that connection and just, check in and, hey, we care about you, and make sure you're doing okay as well for us, right? Just talking with another human being, it's very therapeutic in that sense too. We develop as you guys do, a really close relationship with a lot of our clients. So it's nice just to check in and, have a conversation. And then, with everything else you guys said, the like mental, emotional, physical, like that kind of connection between them all, and our bodies being just such stimulus response machines. So if you like touch something hot, like your body pulls your finger away, right? If something hurts, you're like, they step on something sharp, like step off of that. So it adapts or responds based on the stimulus it gets. So if there's stress stimulus, with a lot of things in life, that affect us all that you guys mentioned, body's going to respond physically, by either like tightening things up, or it's an area getting overworked or overstressed. People say I carry my stress in my traps. I carry my stress in my back. Notice that. And a reason why it goes there is because those areas are already stressed if there's misalignment present or compensation present. So along with getting the physical musculoskeletal in a state where it's functioning properly and not stressed from compensation dysfunction mechanisms, just addressing it mentally, emotionally, through various means, so helpful to the process.
Yeah. And this actually reminds me, I might have shared this on another call, kind of the reverse of the way your mindset affects your body, but then also how your body can affect your mindset.
100%.
And this one time, a client that was like super stressed was like her mom. We put her in an exercise, modified floor block, which you guys know. For those of you that don't know, it's an exercise where you're laying on your stomach, your arms are propped up on blocks. So that's a lot of opening for the chest and the shoulders. And she came out of that exercise in that position and just had an emotional response and was crying and was like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I am. I feel like I just released something, you know, so just using the physiology to affect the psychology. It goes both ways.
Amazing. Yeah, we get similar things with like psoas, release, or hip flexor, release. It's a muscle where, a lot of tension, stress, trauma can be stored. So we've had similar things where, just releasing that, people said, I feel like I have a weight off my shoulders, or I feel like I'm just so relaxed, just like so zen, or tears. And I have no idea why I'm crying right now, but it's just like that deep emotional, like release from the tissues themselves. So yeah, it does go both ways. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I love when that happens. I like get goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Those are breakthroughs when you start crying on therapy floor or like over camera. Like that's vulnerability at its finest, and like really when the shifts start taking place, and you're like allowing that transformation too.
In every sense of the word. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I gotta say, I'm so grateful to like our clients being open enough to be that vulnerable with us. It's just, it takes it to a whole other level, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
Ironically, the same client that we were talking about mindset, we were in here and I put her in a hang position, where you're just free hanging, and there was like a clunk, like a lot of noise, and she like instinctively like went into like fear, like fight or flight, and like grabbed onto me, and like I was like, you're good. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, like I just got scared. And like being able to rewire like that response was like huge. I was like, oh, don't worry about me, like I'm used to that. But at the same time for her, it was like, this isn't like, we're here to breathe through it, to like sit in this discomfort, not necessarily discomfort, but this place of feeling emotions and feeling things that come up to get to the other side.
Yeah.
Right, like the discomfort of change, right? Change isn't always easy.